All right. Good afternoon, November 8th. I did a video yesterday about, and this was more geared towards athletes, those in college or, those that are performing or look to perform at a high level in sports. I did a video yesterday about team goals and wanted to address personal goals. Got some response back from the video yesterday and I think it made a good impact. So Andrew, the but today what I wanted to talk about was personal goals. So when I played, and these are things that I applied in my career as a Division One athlete. Some of these things started back in high school when I was playing either hockey or baseball. But as I got into college, started playing at a higher level. There was a higher demand put on me as an athlete, and you'll find that some make that adjustment, some don't make that adjustment. We had plenty of guys that quit partway through, their first year in college, and a lot of that was just because they were introduced to a higher level of performance or play that they were, I believe, apt to be able to make that adjustment if they were willing to put themselves through a process and begin to do new practices, procedures, or apply new mechanics. But they just didn't do that. And so they quit. But when I got into college, there were certain things that um, I had to adjust. One of them was my mental game. I didn't realize the impact of visualization. I didn't realize the impact of setting goals, setting effective goals personally. And then when I started that process and implementing those, I began to see some, my adjustment at that level. Because my my first 2 years were pretty rough for me. I didn't, I was an all-state first baseman, but when I made that transition into college, I didn't compete. I sat the bench, but then there's a switch that went off in me, and it was based upon a book that I read called The Mental Game of Baseball. Spent a lot of time teaching about the value of how you think, and then how you visualize yourself as in your performance. And then I got into some goal setting, some things that our coaches taught us. And so when it comes to personal goals, and if you didn't see the video on YouTube yesterday about team goals, I would suggest you go back, review that. But this again is geared towards personal goals. So when we set those goals, we're going to set top line goals just like we would for a team. Things like win a MAC championship. For me, it was hit 400, have so many doubles, make sure that my walk to strikeout ratio was, I had more walks than I had strikeouts, things of that nature. So those are top line. Those were things I would set at the beginning of the season, and I wouldn't look at them the rest of the year. And that's a practice that baffled a lot of people or a lot of my teammates was that, they would, Bradshaw, you know what you're hitting? And I'd say, no, I don't. I have no idea what I'm hitting. It's, irrelevant. Because a lot of times what stats become for athletes is all it is a past report that they then use to try to determine their future roadmap. And you can't play that way. You can't get into this routine of, because I started out my senior year, which was, my sophomore year, I think I hit 356. My junior year, I hit 357. And my senior year, I started off really rough. As a team, we started off 0-17, and my batting stats were pretty much in correlation. Well, they weren't that bad. I had some hits, but I was hitting very poorly. And I'm thankful that my Coach Boss, kept me in. I played in every game my senior year, and he kept me in the 3-hole regardless of how that performance was, because he knew what I was capable of. He knew that this was just something that I'd break out of. And had I looked at my stats and said, hey, my goal was to hit 400 this season, I'm hitting, 220 or whatever it was, I don't know. Now I feel like I've got the pressure I got to get that many more hits so that I can make up for this, past performance. And that's what a lot of athletes do is they are constantly engrossed with their statistics, that report of how they've done. And then they use that as, a basis for how they need to go out the next day and perform. And this creates, so when you look at having a lack mindset versus having an abundant mindset, this is something I didn't learn while I was in college, while I was playing, and I wish I had. So I hope that this translates over to you as athletes and that you can utilize this and have this revelation, that will take you to the next level. Because in some of this, honestly, I did practice, unbeknownst to me. It wasn't something that I was purposeful or mindful of. But looking back, there were hints of this, and I'll get into that in a second. But when you come from a mindset of lack, so this is like, I'm not hitting as well as I wanted to hit, or I don't have the walks that I need to have, or as a pitcher, I don't have the strikeouts, or my ERA isn't what it needs to be. You're constantly, you're thinking and meditating on this lack in your life and in your performance, and your thoughts directly impact your physiology, your biology, your chemistry in your body. And you can feel this when you're tense, when you're stressed, and even in a pregame, or even as you step up to the plate, if your body's telling you, and you can read this, you can feel this, you can read the signals of this tenseness, this tightness, that's an indication that you're not coming from a mindset of fullness. In sports, in business, having been in business now for many years, we call this being in flow, and you can Google that. You'll get plenty of articles, podcasts, books that will teach you about how to be in flow. But in sports, we call that being in the zone. So as an athlete, I'm sure you've had those games where it's just like, I couldn't miss. I was untouchable, best performance I ever had. And it was like an out of body experience. That's what being in the zone is. And that's what being in flow is. And you can actually put yourself in the zone. Again, this is something I wish I knew back when I played, because there are things that you can do mentally, pregame, even starting the night before, that you can implement into your routine that can help set you up to be in position to get into the zone. But you cannot, you absolutely need to remove the habit of looking at your statistics, because all that's going to create in you is, it's a past report. We don't look at, we don't look at the past report to determine our future roadmap. You have to be in a position where you are focused on what can I do right now in this moment to get me the outcome I want. And so living from abundance, and realizing that, I've already got everything I need. I've prepared. I've put in the practice. I've put in the extra reps. So when I step up to the plate, I'm not concerned. I'm not tense. I'm not worried. I'm free, because I've already done the work. And now I just got to go up and let my body do its thing. And so that's where visualization comes in, because when you visualize yourself doing the thing that you want to do, your body then interprets that, and it actually because your body doesn't recognize a memory versus projection. So like, if I've had a memory of me striking out, but then I've also I've visualized myself hitting a home run. Both of those in the brain are the same thing. It doesn't recognize that, hey, this thing never happened. This thing actually did. It interprets it as they've both happened, even though the one is a visualization. It's a projection of what you want. And so you have to ensure that you forget the negative, visualize yourself in the positive, what you actually want to do, make that what your body thinks is happening. It's almost like a trick. It's a Jedi mind trick of, your body's like, he always gets a double. He always hits the ball to left center and hits a double. I don't know how he does it, but then when you get up to, when you've done all the preparation, you've done the visualization, you get up to the plate and it comes time to hit, your body just responds with what it thinks and what it knows. Um, but having a habit of going back and, oh man, I went 0 for 4, or I struck out 3 times, or I missed those pitches, I couldn't get my curveball over. um, that is detracting from ultimately what your top line goal is going to be. So when setting personal goals, you have to have those top line goals of where you want to be, because then you're going to extract from that what's necessary to get you to that outcome. And so it's, if 400 is my top line goal, I set that prior to the season. What am I going to need to do every single day that's going to get me to that 400 batting average? And it's hitting 300 balls off a tee every day. It's hitting in the cage off of a live pitcher, 5 times a week. Whatever that is, it's visualizing every single day. When I was in college, every single night when I fell asleep visualizing myself hitting against my opponent and getting hits every single day. And that's exhausting. I looked at towards the end of my career, when I played my last game, it was almost like a relief, because I knew that I don't have to do this every single night anymore. It was tiring, but it was something that I knew I needed to do every day if I wanted to achieve my goal. And I didn't look at what my past performance was to then determine what did I need to do the next day to either make up for or let off the gas to achieve that goal. It was, and you've heard me say this maybe on different channels, but it all goes back to 0 at midnight. And so I knew that when I woke up the next day, the slate was wiped clean. Everything that I did prior to that in previous days was forgotten. And I just woke up and did the thing that was necessary the next day. I went through that checklist, that same checklist that I would do every day. 300 balls off a tee, fall asleep, visualizing myself hitting, hit off a live pitching. And I just did that day in and day out and day in and day out. And the guys, my teammates, would be like, hey, did you know you're hitting blah, blah, blah? And I'd say, no, I don't. And I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't impact the way that I'm going to approach today. It doesn't impact the way I'm going to approach tomorrow. And so for you've got to, as an athlete, if you want to perform at the highest level, you've got to get your mental game right. You've also got to ensure that you're not focused on your top line goals above all else. You've got to be focused on your daily disciplines and routines. And, when it comes to getting yourself into flow, and I wanted to share this because, again, this is something that I wish I knew when I played, but to get yourself in the zone or get yourself into flow, and a lot of this stuff translates into business, for anybody that's watching this and isn't a Division I athlete or an athlete looking to perform at a high level, you can get yourself into workflow as well. You've got to be concentrated on the task. You got to have clarity of goals. And now these are 8 traits that'll get you into the zone or get you into flow. Concentrated on the task, clarity of goals, transformation of time. So this is one of those, like, time just flew by or time slowed down. Those are indicators that you're in the zone, is when it just seemed like things slowed down for me. That's proof that you've gotten yourself into a good mental state, good chemistry, good biology of, your body's just doing its thing. Effortless tasks or ease of task, things just seem easy. Balance of challenge and skills. So this is one too, like, you want to constantly be putting yourself just above the threshold of your capacity, because then when you're just above it, your body intuitively knows, like, we need to bump it up a little bit. We need to go beyond our normal, performance level. And this is where you get the games that you just play out of your mind or better than you've ever played before is because you're playing competition. And a lot of times I'll say that you're playing to your competition. When you play teams that aren't that good, it seems to retract. And it's, probably your body's way of just saying like, hey, this isn't a big threat to us. We don't need to be on high alert. We don't need to be on high performance, but you need to get yourself, in situations that challenge you just above, not way above, because then you're just going to get slaughtered and get your butt kicked. But being slightly above that is a great way to get into the zone. Loss of self-consciousness, and I can't read the last one, so you'll have to Google that. But the last one that I said there, loss of self-consciousness, this is huge, and this is a good indicator of a leader. When you, as a leader, on whether it's a business team or a sports team, when you're not focused on yourself, and this goes back to what I said earlier about living abundant, living full, you have, when you're full, when your cup is full in every area of your life, and as an athlete, when you're full and satisfied with your performance, or you're not concerned about, your batting average, your ERA, your statistics, it frees you up to then be aware of your surroundings and those around you. So you lose focus on yourself, and then you begin to serve other people. And it allows you to be a teammate. It allows you to support and give an energy to your teammates that they need to help perform at a higher level and help you all perform in unity. And so those are just some factors that'll get you into the zone. But when it comes to statistics, setting, and just in summary, you're going to set top line goals. Absolutely. Do that. 400 average, so many doubles, walk to strikeout ratio. But then you step away from even reviewing those on a regular basis to just focus on getting yourself mentally and physically prepared to then lose consciousness of yourself, go out, be loose, perform, run through your daily routines and disciplines day in and day out. And eventually you'll end up, and I had my best season, my senior year. I hit 382, 21 doubles, I think. Strikeout to walk ratio was, at least 1-to-1, if not better. And, we won a MAC championship. We went to the NCAA tournament. And I started off very poorly. But because I didn't lose focus on, or didn't put focus on myself and on my performance, I stayed focused on others and I stayed focused on the team. It all turned. So if you got questions, comments about that, you want to reach out and connect at a deeper level in terms of setting high performance goals as an individual, let's connect. Reach out to me. I'd love to help you through that process. For anybody that's in business and looking to set effective personal goals in their lives, same invitation. I would welcome you to connect with me online, because I am in business now. And so these principles and practices and mechanics I've learned, I've translated into business, and, looking to do great things now that I'm out of sport. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. I'll post this so that you can review it again. And be sure to share this. I say share this with 2.5 people that would resonate with this message, and are aligned with this mindset. And then share it with 2.5 people that you would like to like more, and absolutely need this, because we want to see them converted and living positive lives instead of being victims to their circumstances and situations. So till next time. Let's go.